Hi, my name is Carina and welcome to the Carina Chronicles. Today I will compare my book taste to the one of another booktuber, being Hannah from A Clockwork Reader. I have started this series a while ago, actually right at the beginning of me actually starting booktube, with comparing my book taste to another booktuber. I started with books with Emily Fox because I thought that we had read a lot of the same books. In the end, there weren't that much, but there were enough to talk about, and I really liked that video. So I am slowly going to do all my favorite booktubers and compare my taste to them. It's been a while, and I thought I would do A Clockwork Reader next, because she has been starting up her channel again. She's never really left, but she did have a long break with here and there a video, but only a few per year. And she has been uploading quite some videos recently. So I thought she doesn't need a boost from me, but I still thought this would be a perfect timing to do my comparison video with her. She's actually the one that got me into booktube. I started watching YouTube by looking something up for The Sims 4. Then I found out you have some great YouTubers that make Sims 4 content. So I got totally caught up in that. And then suddenly there was like, you might like this video as well. And I found Hannah from A Clockwork Reader. And I was like, there are videos with people talking about books. And then I went down the rabbit hole. And so she actually got me into booktube. And I never really stopped with liking it and watching all her videos. And now I'm here doing it myself. So I thought it would be useful to compare our tastes. I hadn't done so in the first place because I only compare the books that I've actually reviewed. And I started reviewing my books back in September 2018. So I need to compare books with someone that has read a lot of recent books, because then there's the most chance that we have overlap in there. And because she had been gone for a while, I didn't really know if I would be able to find enough books. But since she has been reading more the last 1.5 years again, we have some books in common and I can actually talk about them. So I have chosen 7 books that I think are worthwhile mentioning because we think exactly the same or we are completely different in our opinions. So to do this, I grabbed Goodreads and I compare our books via the tool that they have. And it said we had 37 books in common that we both read. And 18 of those were books that I have reviewed since September 2018. So there are 18 books we can compare our taste with. Goodreads said we had a similar taste of 77%. That's pretty high. And I agree. If I looked through all her ratings, I really often agree with her. And the books that we read in common are mostly books that we both rated very high. So I didn't have a lot of books that I could tell you like, oh, this one disappointed us both or something. We mostly had books that we both really liked. So that is good. I'm not going to mention them all. There were also a lot of popular series that I've read before 2018 that we both rated all 5 stars or something. So that added up to our score. But overall, I think if you like my taste, you would be doing good by checking out her channel, because she has quite similar tastes and awesome videos. The first book I wanted to talk about is one that we both rated 5 stars. And then just got a sequel that we both have been dying to read. So I really need to pick that one up. She as well. By the way, she also hasn't read it yet. But that's Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Sáenz. And this book is about 2 young guys just developing. They finding out who they are, how they want to be, how that works with friendship, because you both change and you want to be with each other, but you also go different directions. And it's just such a powerful book about friendship and love, but also about the hard part of growing up, without making it too heavy or too sad. It's just a book of hope, in my opinion. We both rated this 5 stars and can't wait to pick up the sequel that just came out. Aristotle and Dante dive into the waters of the world. I'm really excited to pick that one up. It was a standalone for a long time. This sequel kind of exists because of the fans wanting it. But I always love when that happens. That a book is good on its own, but it's so popular that it gets a sequel. That's just great to have more content with these awesome characters. So yeah, definitely pick this one up. The second book I want to mention could have been with everyone, I feel like, because almost everyone seems to like this book, but that is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I gave this 5 stars and Hannah did as well. She gave actually all Taylor Jenkins Reid's books 5 stars. Well, at least the most popular ones, like The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Daisy Jones and the Six, and Malibu Rising. The 3 most recent ones, she gave them all 5 stars. She's a big fan of Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I can imagine, because I've only read 2 and I was so surprised by how good it's written. This is a novel about a made-up famous star. It's like you're following Madonna, or well, maybe more like Marilyn Monroe or something. So she tells her life story to someone that is interviewing her, and we find out that she has a lot more depth than the media portrayed her. And she is married 7 times, and we are going through her life by the 7 husbands that she had. And I came to love Evelyn Hugo, and I really felt she was a real superstar that I wanted to get to know, but she doesn't even exist. I don't know how Taylor Jenkins Reid can write that good, that you feel like you have always wanted to know the story of this famous person, but the famous person is made up. It's incredible. You should really read this book. And the third book I wanted to mention that we both gave 5 stars is one that is one of my absolute all-time favorite books. And it is so important, and I really want you to read this book, and that is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This book is about a young girl's start, and she sees her best friend getting murdered by the police. And then she has kind of 2 choices. Will she stand up for the rights of Black people and tell the world how it happened, or will she keep quiet and don't get all the trouble with it? And this sounds like a choice that is easy or something, but it's not, because she really shows how difficult it was to be a young Black girl in that society, in our society. And this book learned me so much, but it is a young adult and it is for young people. It is like, I really love the book Homegoing by J.R.R, but that one is really hard and brutal and more for adults. And this is a YA book, but just as impactful. It also had a movie adaptation, which is good. I had some issues with it. But it was fine. If you didn't read the book and you watch the movie, I think you find it still very impactful. So do either one of them, but if you have to choose the book. And yes, highly recommend. And Hannah does as well. And then I wanted to show 2 books that we didn't agree on. And that is kind of weird, because with Emily Fox, I only found books that I rated very high and she rated very low. But with Hannah from A Clockwork Reader, she rated books very high, and I was like, no, this book doesn't deserve it. The only book that she rated really low, while I didn't, was Shadow Me by J.R.R. But that was also the book I discussed in the one with books with Emily Fox, so people just do not agree with me that the book was okay. So, okay, well, I'm not going to discuss that one again. I chose another book, and that is Midnight Crown by Sarah J. Maas. I have a hate-love relationship with Sarah J. Maas because I've actually not read that many books from that many authors. I have read 4 books by her now, and I have 1 coming up. And that's quite a lot for me. I usually don't read that many books by the same author. But I don't really like her books that much. I keep doing it because I want to know the hype. Because the books get chosen by book clubs, because everyone wants to know the hype. And I don't really get it, but I still read her books. And they are never bad, but they are, in my opinion, also almost never good. I did really like the first part of this series being Throne of Glass. And I really loved it. I gave it 5 stars. And not because I thought it was so original, but it was really well written in its cliche way. And I really like a book sometimes when it's a little bit predictable, a little bit cheesy, but still good and enjoyable. So I was really looking forward to the second part, being Midnight Crown. But this one was just, this fell completely flat for me. It wasn't surprising for me, at least. A lot of people were like, oh, big plot twists. Didn't really think it to be that big. Like, it was big, but I saw it coming. But okay. Everyone has warned me that from book 3 or book 4, the series completely starts to change and is a completely different story. So I will definitely continue, but I thought this book was mediocre at best. I gave it 3 stars, but I also could have given it 2 stars. Hannah gave it 5 stars. So she really thinks this book is worth it. But I feel like that's because she loves the series so much. I know that feeling that you, like, I also sometimes give a book 5 stars. And then when I reread it, I'm like, wait, the first 300 pages of this book are not good. But the ending was then so good that I completely forgot. I feel like people have the same with a series. If they like the ending of the series, like book 5, 6, 7, then immediately they like the first parts as well because it's world building. So they love that world, and I love to reread the book and see how it's built up. But the book itself is not good. So yeah, I don't know yet if I would recommend you this series, but this book was really boring to me. The next book I want to talk about is another book with a long title, but that is Simon versus the Homosapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. It has been adapted into a movie as well called Love, Simon. She gave this book 5 stars and I gave it 3 stars. This is a story about Simon, and he is at high school and he has very common high school boy problems. And he is gay and tries to figure out how that works for him. And I love those kind of stories, but I thought this one was not so well done. I gave it 3 stars. It is my highest rated book by Becky Albertalli. And I know that is not a popular opinion because a lot of people love her books and feel like they can really help people to get to know themselves and to grow. And I love that. I love that her books do that with people, so please keep writing. But I really don't like them. And giving this book 5 stars is really, really too much for me. 3 stars at the most. But of course I'm going to read the sequel anyway. You know how I am. And then there are 2 more books I wanted to talk about, but I both don't have them anymore, so I will put it on the screen. And these are books that disappointed both Hannah and me in some way. And the first one of that is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. And Hannah gave this book 2 stars and I gave it 4 stars. 4 stars is not a bad rating. That means that I really like the book. But I am still so disappointed by that book. If you talk about disappointing books, that book is the first one that comes to mind ever. It's like, if you watch my recent videos, I've read The Wastelands by Stephen King, and there was one scene in there that I hated so much that I distracted a whole star of my rating, but the book would have had a million stars if I got the chance, so I still gave it 5 stars in the end, but I was really sad and angry. I have the same with Uprooted. Some parts of this story were so bad that I distracted that 1 star, so that's why it's 4 stars instead of 5, although I really love the story and the world. But maybe I should have given it even lower, because it's still the first book that comes to mind when I'm disappointing about a book. Like when people ask if I'm disappointed in a book, because that book could have been so good and it had so many bad things in there, like weird assault, and it was just very bad. But I still gave it a high rating because I loved the story so much and I enjoyed myself so much. But now looking back, I think it should have been lower. Hannah gave it 2 stars out of 5, and she said that she also really didn't like the plot and the story. She thought it was very confusing and she was wondering what was happening all the time. And also because she also didn't think it to make any sense, which I agree with. So we wouldn't really recommend that book. To stay in style with my last video in this series, I've deleted footage. That hasn't happened in a while, but here I am. And it was the last book I wanted to talk about, being The Hobbit by Tolkien. That book is a little bit of cheating for me, because I didn't read it since 2018. Actually, I have never finished this book. This is one of the 2 books I ever DNF'd, so did not finish, together with Aragon. And I didn't finish it because I thought it was so boring. And I know it's not a popular opinion, it's a very unpopular opinion. And I thought this to be my sign to reread it and actually see why I thought it was so bad, and maybe I don't agree anymore. But Hannah also didn't really like the book. She gave it 3 stars, which is not bad at all, of course. But it's not as good as people think The Hobbit to be. So yeah, that book I also wanted to talk about, but I didn't. Well, I did, but deleted all the footage again. And that was actually it. So now you know that if you like certain books that I like, that you can go check her channel out. Or if you completely disagree with both of us, please let us know in the comments. I really hope you liked this video. I really love making them. Let me know in the comments down below which booktuber you want me to do next, because I need booktubers to continue this series with. Please leave a like if you liked the video. And if you subscribe to my channel and you click the notification bell, you will be notified whenever I post a new video. I hope you'll have a lovely day filled with books, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye! I really like comparing my taste to others, because it doesn't really matter if you like the same books. You can still talk about it and watch those videos and be like, oh, this is such an interesting point of view.